Hello, everybody. My name is Bolaj, and we are here with the DCG's development teams to give you an update on what happened in the past 2 weeks. We are planning this session for 60 minutes, and we will have a dedicated Q&A session at the end. So if you have any comments, questions, feedbacks, let us know in the live chat below. Also, if you have a question that you would like us to answer it in the Q&A session, please use a Q or a question prefix so we will know that it is directed to us and not just part of the regular conversation in the chat. Without further ado, let's start with the platform team and Sam.
Cool. Yes. So what were people working on this week, the last 2 weeks? So we released 1.4.0 and 1.4.1. And I guess 1.4.0 is pretty much heavily withdrawals and a few stability fixes. And 1.4.1 was a crucial stability fix. And that now is like completely resolved, so we don't have to worry about anymore. Lukasz was working on Tenderdash as well, and I was working on a surprise that I'm going to show you guys later. Yay, surprise, woohoo! That I will show you guys later. So let's start with Tenderdash. Lukasz, you wanna give an update on Tenderdash?
Yeah, hi, I'm working on some minor changes, fixes, and improvements to Tenderdash, which I consider as a maintenance work mainly and bug fixing. First of all, I think in the previous call I talked about fixing some tests for proposal selection, and we also fixed some metrics for number of validators that didn't sign. We will have that more visible right now. And in progress or in review are a few other improvements, like when we check the logs with docker logs command right now, they go to standard error, what makes it a bit tricky to grab these logs to search for something and stuff like that. So we'll just send them to standard out. And I did upgrades and updates of various components like Golang, Mockery, Golang CI lint, what generated multiple issues. For example, Mockery deprecated previous version of config files, so I had to migrate that to a new version. Also, Golang CI lint, so a linter that is checking the code, is more strict right now and gives us tons of warnings for stuff that was accepted previously, but these are more or less valid items we should take care of. So I'm in progress of like reviewing all these warnings and fixing them. Many of them are just false positives, but still it needs attention. And we got a bug report that during the quorum rotation, the validators endpoint of Tenderdash returns some error, what caused the Platform Explorer to not display validators. This should be fixed soon. I have the fix implemented. Now it's in testing. I'm writing tests, doing self-review. So this should be ready soon, and it will be published, I think, as 1.3.1. And it doesn't need to be updated because it's backward compatible, just some like improvements, dependencies, stuff like that. But if someone doesn't update this standard version, it will not hurt him basically, unless that validator endpoint is needed or some other stuff that was fixed in this that will be fixed in this minor version. And that's it on Tenderdash. Then on the next slide in our Tenderdash ABCI library, we released it with also some updates of dependencies and small refactoring, where so basically right now in 1.2.1 that is needed by platform, nobody else needs it, but basically platform is using 1.2.1, which uses new version of Tokyo, which had some security issues, and there was recommendation to update. And pending work is a feature or refactoring to enable serialization in Rust for all messages. Right now it was limited. This feature or refactor, I don't know how to classify that, is doing it in full for all message type instead of just selected a few previously. And on the next slide, I also worked on platform a bit in terms of SDK for Rust. We found a bug, more precisely, some found a bug where some code that was fetching quorum information and contracts from the platform that is called mock context provider didn't work correctly in some asynchronous scenarios. So this should be fixed right now. And we tested that. That looks like it's fixed. And also there is another change to SDK. The second one is a more breaking one in terms of breaking the API, where we changed the type of data that is returned by SDK from B3 map to, I think, index map. So to something that can keep the order of items returned. Right now, if you get some items from SDK, that these are not sorted correctly. And this fix changes the behavior of SDK, that it will just sort it the same way as Drive does. In terms of Drive, it's another story, and like the order in Drive is another separate logic from this fix. But this fix just will do the same order as Drive. And that's it on my side.
Well,
Thank
thanks,
you very
Luca.
much.
So, I've answered how withdrawals work a lot, but I would like to answer definitively so nobody asks again. And so everybody understands. So, how does it work for signing? For an Evo node, you can sign with the private key of the payout address. And if you do, you can send your balance from platform to anywhere on core. And you can also sign with the owner private key. Why did we add the owner private key? Well, because a lot of people send out their payouts to a hardware wallet and they don't have access, like they're not able to sign a withdrawal state transition because the code for the hardware wallets don't support it. And because of that, we allow people to sign with their owner private key that they generally have access to. And if they sign with their owner private key, the only place where you can send funds is the payout address. And this is kind of for security reasons, because the owner private key is not on a hardware wallet. So it might as well go to a place like, assuming that your payout address is your hardware wallet, you're basically just signing saying send to my hardware wallet for many Evo node holders. Okay, and what about for an identity? Ooh, one of the "and" is capitalized and the other one isn't. Blasphemy. So for an identity, we have they can sign with any transfer key that they have, and they can send anywhere. If the identity does not have a transfer key, they can create a transfer key with their master key. Okay. So how does the withdrawal queue work? So before we understand how the withdrawal queue works, we first have to understand the quorums that sign on mainnet. So at any given time, there are 24 quorums on mainnet for that basically cycle. Each one has 100 members, and not all members are going to be online. Generally, right now, it's about 90 per quorum are online. So what happens is proposers propose a block, and they go through these quorum through the members of the quorum, and when they reach the end of the quorum, basically a new quorum is selected, and it's the next quorum on the list. When basically we get to the last quorum on the list, then the first quorum happens, and basically it's this first quorum that can sign withdrawals. This was not the desired system. We were hoping to have a lot more withdrawals possible, and we did not have this single quorum limit. But there was an issue in core where basically only one quorum could actually accept withdrawals at a time. And because of that, actually, sorry, 2 quorums in core can accept withdrawals at a time. But yeah, on platform side, we made it just 1. Because there would be some issues with timeouts if we sent it to core and the quorum on the core side had rotated, but the one on platform hadn't. Anyways, it's pretty complicated, but what this basically means is that there's a queue, and most likely people will have to wait between 6 to 18 hours for their withdrawal to happen. And that is until core comes out with a new version and platform updates to no longer having this limit. So it's not a very long time, but yeah, this is how it will work for the upcoming 1 to maybe 3 months. Each block can also have 4 withdrawals, and each withdrawal costs about 2.5 cents. And we can withdraw up to 10% of the amount of Dash in platform per day. Past this, transactions just remain queued in order. So yeah, that's basically how the system works. Okay, Dash Evo tool time. That is the surprise. There is a Dash Evo tool that I've been working for a lot ever since 1.4 came out, and I will now share it with you guys. So let me start it and share my screen. Why is it not available? Oh, there it is. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, well, welcome to Dash Evo tool. A lot of people have been wondering, how can they vote on things? How can they withdraw? How can they do many, many actions in platform that we don't really have a good answer for right now? The original plan was for the mobile wallets to have this functionality, but well, they're not out yet. They will be out soon, but they're not out yet. And on top of that, some of the more advanced functionality is just easier to integrate directly into a desktop app because there's more real estate. So let's get into it. So what are the functionalities that you can have? First things first, if it's configured, like there's a configuration behind this, but if it's configured, the Dash Evo tool can connect to both mainnet and testnet. You can go into the configuration right here, and then you can basically select the network that you want to use it against. So for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to be doing testnet and mostly, and then I'm going to also start Dash Core by pressing start here. And you don't see it, but Dash Core is actually starting for testnet in the background. And this is because Dash Core will verify the proofs. This should go to online. Maybe there's a problem in the reporting, or maybe it needs to wait a little bit for synchronization. In the meantime, actually, I'll show mainnet because that one is online, and we'll go into the voting area. So this is the voting area, and you immediately see that you can register a name and you can refresh. And let's see what names are currently available. So I'm just going to be pressing refresh here. And here are all the names that are currently up for voting. This is not yet finished as a product, so there might be issues. But I think for 1 week of work, maybe a week and a half, I did a pretty good. I did a pretty good job. So you can sort. Obviously, you can sort by ending time. This one ends in 2 days, Quantum, and a few others. And then if you have your identities set up, you can then vote. So let me show you guys what it looks like to do this. So here to add an Evo node, you would do load identity, and you just press on load identity. And it comes into here. I apologize that the UI doesn't look great. It's kind of been a rush job, but yeah, you can select Evo node, and then you can basically put in your Evo node information right here, and then press load, and it would add. And I'm going to show what it looks like on testnet instead. So we're going to come here. We're going to select testnet instead. Testnet is online. I think this is just a reporting issue. So we're going to load identity. Because I didn't want to deal with this a lot, I had it so it was automatically import, but that seems to have been broken by a recent PR. So you know what? I will do it manually. 1 second. This is very frustrating because I'm trying to click on something to, okay. Yeah, so I'm going to import a Evo node. Yeah, this one. So going into the tool, let's putting that in there. Evo 1. Okay, so I need to find the private voting key. Okay, found it. Owner key. Owner private key. Here we go, found it. Payout address private key. I mean, oh, the voting private key and the owner private key are the same on Evo node sometimes for testnet. The payout address private key. Let's imagine I don't have it because a lot of Evo nodes are not going to have it. So I'm going to press load identity right here. Yeah, so that should work, but it's possible. Yeah, so it did work. The confirmation doesn't work right now. It seems like it was recently broken. But yeah, so we see the Evo node is here. On testnet, this Evo node has a very big balance, right? 692 dash. And then we can click. So we have the owner key right here. We can click to withdraw. So, purpose owner. And then we can basically select any address. So I'm going to take my Dash Core wallet for testnet. I'm going to choose a receiving address like this. Shows a receiving address. Dun, dun, dun. And I press, oh, sorry. oh, sorry, there is no receiving address because it's the owner key, right? So I can just type in the amount. I can go 5- and I'll say withdraw. And then, are you sure you want to withdraw 5- to masternode payout address? This is the payout address for this masternode, and I'm going to press confirm. And it's actually happened. The problem is that the going back seems to be broken right now. So if you see the balance, it was 693 before, I think. Now it's 687. We can do another withdrawals just so you guys can see that better. Let's do 10, maybe, well, yeah, 10. And let's do withdraw. Let's do confirm. Then we go back. Oh, it didn't finish yet. Oh yeah, now it is. Six, see, it went down. The balance went down by Tenderdash. And the address probably did not yet receive the funds because there's that withdrawal queue, but it's going to take some time and then the withdrawal will happen. So let's actually show what it looks like if you do have the private key and you can send anywhere for the withdrawal private key. So this is one of your keys. This basically means transfer key. So go into here. It's asking us to enter the private key of this withdrawal payout address. I actually do not want to enter it. I just realized. Because then, whatever. We're gonna have to switch. Our infra team is gonna be very unhappy that we're gonna have to disable this this Evo node on testnet. Well, I guess if somebody plays with it, I
Are
don't
you
think
positive before you do it that this isn't also the faucet address? Because
it's
sometimes
not.
they're off there. Okay, cool.
It's not, but I'm not 100% sure. So let's not do it. So
I
basically,
wanted to have Latte have more work to do.
yeah. So what happens here is you would put in your enter private key and then you would go to withdraw and then you would be able to select another key, transfer. And this time you put in address and you would be able to withdraw it. Okay. So that's basically it. Here we see we have a voting key. We can also go to here and we can go refresh. Now, the problem here is that this is not completely done yet. So it's just going to say a lot of fetching. And the reason why it says a lot of fetching is because these are all finished. And all the finished ones we haven't dealt with yet. So it's work in progress, obviously. So here you can see who's winning currently. So currently the three have no lock votes is 0, abstain votes is 0, and contestants, this guy has 0 as well, but he is winning because that's the rules basically. So then we click on this and then it says, would you like to confirm? The ideas are vote immediate. So vote immediate is I vote right now. Vote deferred means like if I have, let's say like 10 Evo nodes, that it doesn't vote with all of them at exactly the same time. It will just, you just leave the app running and it will vote. It will send one like shortly, very soon after, and then it will send a few more like within a time period, but it won't do it all at the same time. And because it doesn't do it all at the same time, you don't kind of like give up your privacy. So that's basically how the voting happens. And so what else is there here? This is another page that's under construction. Here, basically, it allows you to search for any documents inside of platform. So right now we have the DPNS, and you basically will be able to click on this, and then there'll be a search bar that allows you to query any information that you wish. It will also work for withdrawal, so you'll be able to see the withdrawal queue. And these are the different tools that we currently have. So here's an encoded state transition, and we'll parse the state transition for you. The idea for the tools is that there'll be more than this tool. There'll be many tools that you can do, and you'll basically be able to see all of them. So yeah, that's basically the Dash Evo tool. I'm planning on working on this for about another week or so to get it to a state where it's releasable. We'll probably we're going to release it actually before it's in a very good state as a 0. Actually it's not done. There's another part. Create wallet. This is what I worked on today actually. So let's imagine you want to go in and you want to create your own wallet. So why would you want to create your own wallet? Well, basically to hold your identity keys. So let's click on create wallet. And here is a little steps for creating your wallet. So follow these steps to create your wallet. Hover over this view to create extra randomness for the seed phrase. So you just like change the randomness a little bit, change this. The randomness that you generate is not this thing at the top. It is a combination of this thing at the top plus a random number generator of your machine. Why did we add this extra entropy at the top? Well, because random number generators have been known to be either hacked or to be, to use like an internal seed phrase or something that isn't completely random. But, your actions up here, it's a little bit philosophical if they're random or not, but let's assume they are. So you can come in here and you can like click on things and yeah. And then you can generate your seed phrase. You can select your language, multiple languages allowed. And then here's a seed phrase that exists. I wrote down my seed phrase. You can add a password. So if you added a password, you're going to have to use the password every single time you want to unlock the wallet. And then you save the wallet. So I'm going to save this wallet. So now I have the wallet saved. And because there's now a wallet, I can create an identity. And this is in construction. So like I can show you where I'm at, but it might even crash if I press create identity. Let's see. No, it doesn't crash. So follow these quick steps to create your identity. And this is where I'm at. So basically, how do we fund? I'm going to make it so you basically can have a QR code on your screen, and then you take your phone and you put money onto this QR code, and that will be used for funding your identity. Or you can have money in the attached core wallet on the local machine where you're running this app, and your money there can actually be, what's the word that I want? Post CoinJoin. So it can be, there can be no retrievability to you. So yeah. So if you do it like that, you can then fund your identity, and then and then when you create your identity here, then you can use your identity for various things in platform. It's come to my attention really that while platform's really quite powerful, it's very hard to interact with for everyday people. So the idea with this app is to give a way to start having people interact with it. And as time goes on, we'll add more and more functionality. And yeah, so that's that. Hope everybody enjoyed that. And let's move on to either questions or core. Did we get any questions in the meantime?
I don't see question any. So we don't have questions yet.
Okay, excellent.
Okay.
So let's move on to core.
I think. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Wonderful. Then let's continue with core and pasta.
Alrighty. Awesome. So yes, a lot is the same, but a good amount of progress was accomplished. So on the asset unlocks fix, Constantine did a good job. There is a pull request open right now. It is in review, getting towards the end of review. Found a couple of things we want to fix up in it, but that should be getting merged in the very near future, hopefully in just the next days. Once that is merged in, that is going to start the release cycle process for V22. So we're going to release RC1, get it starting to roll out to testnet, and go from there. Hopefully, a couple of weeks after that, once testnet is nice and stable, people have had enough time to test on it, we will release V22 final. So BIP 324 is making actually better progress than I slightly expected. It looks like we might be able to have experimental support for BIP 324 in version 22 final, but we are definitely not going to enable it by default right now in V22. There hasn't been quite enough testing time, and there's still some things that we need to spend more time testing it, a couple more improvements, but it looks like an experimental version will be ready in V22. So yeah, we're excited about that. That'll give us the ability to start testing it on testnet and the like, and figure out if there are any issues, and hopefully then in a V22.1 or V22.2 or something like that, we'll be able to enable it by either default or maybe some percentage of connections will be using that protocol. So really excited about that. Very valuable to get that done. Otherwise, there is continued work on V22.x or V23 development alongside of C++20 compiler. There's some CMake work being done, transitioning from auto tools over to CMake, which will be very valuable for our build process and our development process. A lot of IDEs integrate much better with CMake, and that'll enable even better debugging and development. So excited about that, trying to get that wrapped up at some point soon. A lot of other items there are still to do for, more longer term outlooks. You can take a look at the chart down below if you want. You can see kind of some of the progress that has been made if you compare that. And I'm going to let Constantine quickly talk about our next stuff on the next slide. All right.
I'm Konstantin. I'm working in Dash core. You probably haven't heard me for a long time. And I'm here to present a list of merged PR on the previous 2 weeks. You can see there is pretty much of hard work, and many of this PR is related to backports. These backports are coming from Bitcoin version 22, 23, and many others. Some related to encryption on protocol level, what is BIP free to for us Pastor mentioned. Also, we bumped GMP version to align it with mobile clients, and we have plenty of other changes what can be seen on GitHub if anyone is curious on. And I think that's all for merged PRs. If Pastor want to add anything or any questions, like.
All right, Konstantin, thank you. And also Pasta, thank you very much. Let's move on to mobile.
All right, sounds good. So on the Android side, as usual, dash pay. But the primary focus last sprint was getting through the rest of the username voting. That was the key thing, as well as really any kind of dash pay issues that we identified internally or from some volunteer testing. One of the bigger items that we're still working on is support for 32-bit devices. There's some changes that we have to deal with that we're still trying to deal with some crashes there. So most of the testing, at least externally and internally for that matter, has been on 64-bit devices. Excuse me. One of the other things, for the MVP was hiding invitations. That's going to be coming out in a later release, so we need to make sure that that was not visible. And we did have, you know, some testing on mainnet that we did internally that we're working through. On Dash Wallet, we had a couple small crashes in our fixes that we did, as well as a UI fix, and that just started rolling out today. So that's our last Dash Wallet release. Snap. Same story as before, you know, CoinJoin and Dash Sync, basically. We did get by with some help from the platform team and Android, the B-list key derivation issues. So we're one step closer to getting a DashPay build on testnet, but we do still have our remaining bindings that we need to work on. Yeah, that's the most notable things. I mean, there was a lot of either issues or refactoring that needed to be done for CoinJoin. So, but we are getting much closer to being able to release that now. Can go to the next slide. So last update, I gave kind of a release plan for Android and iOS. I just tried to maintain all of that or preserve all of that and just added or changed some things to highlight. So the rollout of 10.3.1 on Android is completed. No major new issues there. We did, as I mentioned, have a couple crash and UI fixes that we released on 10.3.2. That rollout just started and is at about 20%. That'll roll out fairly quick. We don't have too many concerns of crashes there, so that probably will be fully rolled out in the next day or two in preparation for the first DashPay release, public DashPay release. So we did release DashPay on testnet to anyone that wants it. It's an open invitation, basically, that, you know, as long as you've got an email address to share, then you can test with that. And that was last Wednesday on the 9th. We did create our release candidates, excuse me, for our internal mainnet testing. We did that and finished it on the 8th, hence the release on the 9th to the community. We had hoped to do the rollout of DashPay for mainnet on the 7th. That did not happen, and instead, on that same week, we did release to three Masternode owners that volunteered to help test that version first. We wanted to make sure we had some active masternodes giving us some feedback there. That went really well. We got a lot of great feedback. No major issues were identified. We had a few bugs that we've been working on to fix up. Hoping to get that out this week. I have a range there because we don't want to release on a Friday. So if we can't get the testing and Google Play review done by the 17th, unless we have some weekend availability or support, we'll probably hold off until the following Monday on the 21st. But so far, things are looking pretty good on most of the fixes that we've just recently done. This will only be for 64-bit devices. I didn't want to hold off and delay for 32-bit devices. So what that'll essentially look like is there will be a version update if you have a 32-bit device, but you just won't see any DashPay functionality, because that's what the problem that we're facing is, specifically with the DashPay features. So if you have a 64-bit device, when that goes out, you'll see the ability to join DashPay, and you'll be able to see, you know, the voting activity that's going on. And if you're a Masternode owner, you'll be able to vote. If you have a 32-bit device, the version update will still be in the store. There just won't be any new features that you see. You won't see any of the DashPay features. Hopefully we can get that out the following week on the 24th. These are all, you know, very rough estimates. I mean, things could go, you know, better or worse, I suppose. But these are estimates. I don't have a solid target for the invitations and other kind of changes that we might be doing, but that likely would be in November. The one on the 24th, aside from 32-bit device support, there are some pretty significant UI improvements that we made to the voting results, just to make it a little bit more intuitive for Masternode owners. So again, to anyone listening, thanks if you contributed to that testing. It was very helpful. Can move on to iOS. So for the iOS, really nothing has changed here other than we did have to push off exposing balance mixing on Dash Wallet by at least a week. And it's the same story here. If we can manage to get all of our internal testing and App Store review done by Thursday, the 17th, then we'll release that. But we're just trying to avoid, releasing over a weekend if we have to. Everything else is the same. The phased releases will be, non-contested usernames first. And then it'll be contested usernames, and we'll have the different elements of voting, and obviously any point releases that we need for fixes and new functionality. But I don't have any solid dates on that until we get our first version of DashPay on testnet. Once that comes out, then I'll have a better projection for the rest of the schedule. So that's it for mobile.
Thank you very much, Brian. So let me check. I see no questions. So on your side, Sam, do you have anything or anybody from the team, do you guys have anything else to share?
Not really.
All right, then thanks everybody for joining, and see you in 2 weeks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.